Welcome, everybody. My name is Paul Smith. We'll be providing a live demonstration of Kuali's curriculum and catalog solutions for you all today. Real excited to get this webinar off the ground. We've seen a very high degree of interest in these solutions, and we're excited to share it with you all. A few housekeeping points before we dive right in. I need to let you know this video is being recorded. This webinar is being recorded. And then after the webinar, you all will get a link from me, an email with the recording. So if you want to share it with your colleagues, we encourage you to do so. And finally, Zoom webinars work a lot like regular Zooms. You'll notice at the very bottom of your screen a series of icons. There's one with a little question mark icon. Keep an eye on that. As you have questions over the course of the webinar, please feel free to share your thoughts, ask your questions in the Q&A feature. We'll be watching those very closely. And as they come, I'll do my best to field those questions and make sure that they are addressed. All right, as I said, my name is Paul Smith. I'm the head of marketing here at Kuali, and with me today is Michael Peary, our solutions engineer for Kuali's Academic Ops suite of tools and our resident in-house expert in all things curriculum and catalog. So we're excited to have Michael join us today. Before we get into the demo, I want to share just a little bit about the company. Kuali offers a variety of suites for higher education, for administering higher education. There is a whole suite of tools dedicated to Kuali's academic ops. And you can see the list there. Today, we'll be focusing on our curriculum solution and our catalog solution. We also have tools for the business office, for financial officers with financial management. We have a no-code forms and workflows tool for automating and digital transformation across your university. A business continuity solution for your emergency managers to make sure you have plans in place for every possible scenario that could happen at the college or university. And finally, a very robust and full suite of tools dedicated to research departments for managing research. So that's a quick look at Kuali Solutions, but today we will be focusing on two solutions within the Kuali Academic Ops suite, our curriculum management solution and catalog management solution. And before I hand off to Michael, I'll just say that Kuali has been a leader in the curriculum and catalog space for more than a decade. The tools that Michael will be sharing with you today were launched on the Kuali platform last year, and we had been developing those for a number of years. They're extremely robust, and as a leader in the space, they deliver everything that you would possibly need for managing curriculum and catalog, built on a new platform designed for the future. So these are probably the freshest products in the space, and we're just really excited to share them with you all. And with that, Michael, I'll stop sharing, and we will get to the demonstration.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for joining today. I'm excited to show you our curriculum management system and our academic catalog. But before we do jump into our system, I do want to start with the end in mind, what our processes are actually working towards. And so what you're seeing here is our public-facing academic catalog for one of our customers. For students, this is often their primary source of truth, where they go to understand their program requirements, course options. And as a university, we make sure that these things are accurate, easy to navigate, and reflect the institution clearly. For example, if I type in intro to biology, I'm immediately shown a few different options of courses that I could select from. And so if I select into one of these, I can see, all those course details, and have confidence in knowing what I'm seeing reflects what's been approved and that there's no really outdated or conflicting information. Although behind the scenes, getting to this point can be complex for many institutions, often involving multiple systems, manual updates, a lot of coordination, and maybe some hesitancy with making new updates or new versions of courses or programs. But really what makes Kuali's academic catalog different is everything that you're seeing here is directly connected to our curriculum. Our curriculum management system is the engine behind this. It's structured, it's aligned with the right terms and dates, and doesn't require any duplicate entry. And so when it's approved, it's immediately available for you to publish what you want to in the catalog. And so today we'll walk through how institutions move from that behind the scenes complexity to a more connected, streamlined process that results in a catalog like this. And so now we'll take a step back and we'll jump into our academic ops suite and show you our homepage. And a few scenarios I would like to go through today are from the perspective or the lens of a faculty member as they submit a new version proposal for an existing course. And then we'll transition to a registrar role and we'll approve that course. And then also in that registrar role, prepare the catalog for publication and show you what some of those features look like. And so we'll wrap up that curriculum process there. And then at the end, we'll take a look at some of our reporting tools, our form functionality, and how our workflows are easily configured. And so right now, I'm actually in that role as a faculty member. Upon login, this is what I see, and these are the options that I get. At the top banner, I have our action list. And so if there's anything related to curriculum management or anything that I'm assigned to in any workflow on our quality platform, that'll appear here. And so that's really our centralized location and really taking care of our action items, and we don't need to really go anywhere else to take care of that. We also have my documents. I'll go ahead and click into this. And as a faculty member, it looks like I have submitted a few proposals in the past. It shows when those were submitted, how long they took, and the status of each of them. So I don't need to go looking around to see where things are at in the process. I could come right here and get that quick picture and understanding of what's going on. Additionally, if I'm working on anything else, I could come right here to my documents as well. I could edit any of those drafts that I need to all in one place, making things pretty easy for me. And so I can, again, focus back on my students or for class preparation. The last thing I would like to mention is the What's New option on the banner. This is just a really neat feature that Quality offers. It publishes those release notes of new features or what's now available to you as a user. And so you're always having the most recent information that Quality has to offer. And then you'll also see here on our homepage that we have a few different tiles or modules available. Obviously, we have our curriculum management because that's what we're going to be testing today. And then we have advisor, which is our degree audit. And so each of these are labeled with our quality icon. And then we have a few others as well that are custom workflows and forms that are developed to really help out administrative processes, whether in the registrar's office or somewhere else. And these are custom created to meet, those individual needs. And we could talk a little bit more about that later. But for now, we'll go ahead and dive into our curriculum management system. And as I pull this up, the first thing that we're going to see is our reporting dashboard. Just really a quick insight and a pulse into some of these curriculum activities that we're going to be working through. On the left-hand side, I have some of our curriculum data sets. And so since I do want to make a new course version of an existing course, I'll go ahead and select courses. And this will show us all of our curriculum records. And let's say for this example that we want to just make some adjustments to this accounting 118 course. And so I'll go ahead and select this curriculum record. And it'll bring up everything that has been approved and that's currently in progress. On the top left here, I can see that it's current from fall 24 to now. And if I select that drop down, I can also see that there's a previous version as well, starting in fall 20. But if I want to make that new version, I'll go ahead and select this option here and create a new version. And when I create a new version, there's some features that I really like where it just brings in all of the fields from the previous version. So I don't need to start from scratch. All that information is there and available to me. Although as an administrator, maybe you don't want to bring in everything and you want the faculty member to make sure that they're filling out the new information that's required for this new version. And so right now I can see that proposal type is empty. And so as that faculty member, I'm going to go ahead and update, what type of proposal this is. And this is really important because when we, have the workflow and we branch things off, we could branch things off of any of the fields on the form. And so it's important to know if we have a different workflow branch for a new course version, that it's populating there appropriately. On the left-hand side, I have our navigational pages. So I could go through and identify, what needs to be updated to see if I'm missing anything or make sure that we're all aligned and on the same track. And so for this example, let's go ahead and update the credits from 3 to 4. Um, and we can even update the course number to 120. We're making some pretty drastic changes here. If I go to our additional course information, I can do the start term here and make this fall 2027. And when this um, is submitted and goes through the appropriate approval process, the previous version will have that end date, the term right before this one starts. So there's nothing you need to do. That automatically takes care of it for you. Again, making things a lot easier and a smooth transition. And so with those pieces being done, I can obviously go through and identify each of these sections and pages that need to be completed. But since it's brought in everything else and I only need to make those changes, I'll go ahead and make that submission. And so now this is pumping through the workflow. It is a very small workflow today. And so it's going to go immediately to the registrar, which is the next role that I'll move into. And so I'll stop impersonating this user. And my homepage will look a lot different than the faculty. Obviously, I have a lot more permissions and roles. And so that's how we really work here at Kuali, is making sure that things are tied down appropriately and users are only seeing or have access to what they need to. And so again, at my banner, it looks like I do have a notification in my action list, and I can actually take care of that proposal right here. I don't need to go into curriculum management, although I can, but I can just take care of it here if I'm in a rush. And so I could see what document type this is, who submitted it, and the next step in the workflow that it's on, and what I need to do, what's requested. And so if I click into this proposal, I can see that document that the faculty member just submitted. And again, I could toggle through each of these navigational pages, get a good insight and understanding of what's going on. And then again, I have that drop-down menu to where I could take a look at previous versions and understand the history of that. And for each of those versions, you can also check the audit log or the history of the workflow. You can identify the notifications that have been sent out, the emails that have been sent out, any notes or other actions that have taken place. And then as the administrator or the registrar, I can actually come in here during the workflow process and reassign a workflow step to someone else, resend a notification to maybe ping or notify department chair that something needs to get done, or even skip the step. Additionally, I do want to show you some neat features because it is nice to go through and look at the previous versions. But if we hover over to the ellipses here and select Show Changes, there's no need to go back and forth between those records. We can see in real time what was the previous version and what's being proposed now. And so if I click to our top section here, we can see that this information has changed. So it's gone from a new course version, or it's gone from this proposal type to this proposal type. It's changed from this course number to 120. Great. So it really gives you that really good insight into what's going on and saves you a lot of time and energy. Additionally, I really like this feature here at the top. Shows me a side-by-side condensed comparison of all these changes that have taken place. So if I'm comfortable with all the other fields in the proposal and I just want to see those changes, I could toggle this option on, and that'll really help make my decision there. Additionally, if I select that ellipses, I have the option to send this back. And if I select that, I could send this back to any other step in the workflow. Obviously, it's a shortened and condensed workflow, but if I had other steps in the workflow configured, I could send it back to that with the appropriate note. So if this need to go back to a committee or a subcommittee, I could send it back to them. And then as the full administrator, I have the ability to deny this as well. And each of these are configurable options based off of what step it is in the workflow or what type of role you have. And so with this, I'm comfortable with these changes being made, and I'll go ahead and make this approved. And I do want to explain too that when this is approved, there's nothing else I need to do. This will be synced with the catalog. And so all that information on the form will be available for you to use and display public facing as you would like. Um, Additionally, if you have any other integrations with your campus systems, like your student information system, those integrations can also be kicked off. But I do want to emphasize that things will not be active until that term date starts. So we set ours for fall 27. That will not be available or active until that said term. And so this won't overwrite any of our existing or in progress courses. Those will continue to go through. But this will allow us to, make those changes without necessarily impacting anything currently. And so the next thing I would like to transition to is what does that catalog publication look like? How do we get that ready for a new year? I'll go ahead and select favorites to trim down my available modules here, and we'll hop into our catalog system. And so we know what that end-facing catalog looks like, and now we'll look behind the scenes of how we can get it ready to look like that. And just like with our curriculum management tool, we're brought to a dashboard that shows us the information that we might want to see. Before I jump to catalogs, though, I do want to call out pages. This is a really neat feature that allows you to put like non-curricular information in the catalog through a workflow process and approval process. You can even create new versions of them so you're not overriding previous information. And so some things like that involve, about the catalog, important dates, welcome message, message from the president. All these things can be pushed through the catalog, go through an approval process, and make sure that they're polished and ready and clean for that public-facing interface. Okay, let's jump to catalogs real quick. I do have a couple sitting in here. And so all the catalogs that you have available in your institution will be displayed here, past and present and future. And you can even have additional catalogs for uh, different academic levels, master's degree, doctorate degree, etc. If you need to break those out, that's your prerogative to do so. And Kuali offers that capability. You even have the ability to duplicate these, so you're not, again, recreating those things from scratch, making your life a lot easier. And so as that registrar, let's go ahead and jump into our catalog here and take a look to see how these things are configured. So we can see we have our general catalog information where we can adjust the catalog title to whatever we need it to be. And then we have our start and end dates. And these are important because this allows us to set that start date, becomes active at that date, and there's nothing that we need to do manually to make that public facing. That'll automatically be available when that date kicks off. If we hover over to our content sets, this is how we could bundle those pages that we just looked at. So the message from the president, the about the university, the timelines or important dates of the calendar. Those can all be bundled, so it's less busy on your academic catalog homepage, and it'll provide you with those drop-down options. On our PDF tab, we could generate a full PDF. This could be done at any time, especially helpful for those accreditation or to have available for, let's say, advisors or whoever else needs it. And if we go to our settings option here, this is how we can create our navigational menus. And so this is what it looks like on the left-hand side. Our courses or programs, socializations, these things could all be listed out. And then we can also have those content sets that we bundled those pages into, listing these out, organizing them as we need to make sure that the students are being shown or helped in the right direction that they need to go. If I select courses, for example, this allows us to bring in the data that we want to show in our catalog. And so we don't necessarily want to show all of the information that we filled out on the form. A lot of it is administrative or can be a bit confusing to a student. And so this allows us to really taper that down. And so all this information is available for me to use if I hit this add field to course view. If I need to pull in course type or activities or course level, I could do so. And then I could rearrange them as such. put the description at the top, subject code, wherever it needs to be. If for whatever reason one of these fields is empty, let's say repeatable for credit is not applicable, that information will actually not display on the catalog. So it won't appear as a blank missing space. It'll all just look natural and flowing appropriately. One feature that I do really appreciate is our preview catalog. So it's one thing to set things up and organize it, but it's another to interact with it before it goes live. And so if I select this, I can see my navigational options on the left-hand side. I had message from the president on top previously, and it looks like it's showing there now, so that's great. And then I have my programs available here. I have my courses. I could click into each of these and see the information is displaying as I would like it to. And so this really empowers me to make these changes on my own. I can even rename some of these titles if I need to. If, for example, a description needs to be renamed to a summary or whatever the case may be, you could do that, and it doesn't impact the curriculum management side of things at all. And so again, really powerful tool. And this really enables you as the registrar, the admin, to make sure that things are ready for publication, that students are getting the information they need when they need it. And so let me go ahead and hop back to our academic ops homepage, because that kind of wraps up what we just seen and how everything connects from that faculty perspective of what it looks like to submit a proposal, even what their homepage and roles and permissions looks like. And then also from the perspective of a registrar and approving that proposal, and then making some of those adjustments and changes to the catalog and taking a look at it before it gets ready for publication. And then it all reverts back to the catalog that we saw at the beginning. That clean, polished version that makes things easy to search for and find. Um, and so it's really a great reflection of your institutional academic values. Now I would like to pivot over a little bit more to the administrative function side of things and show you how reporting works, how forms can be configured and adjusted based off of your ever-changing institutional needs, and then also how you can also make updates to workflows, because we know that things do change on occasion. New departments are created, and we want to make sure that they're getting the proposals that they need to see. And so I'll go ahead and jump back into our curriculum management system, and we'll continue to use courses as our example. And so with courses, just like with that faculty member, we're seeing those curriculum records. Although with my elevated permissions, I do have a few more options at the top, the form, the workflow, the publish. But before we jump to that, let's take a look at these reporting options because I find them extremely valuable. If we select this columns option here, we can pull in any of those those form fields and make them visible so that we can identify, things that we want to see and have it available to us, as soon as we log in, which is extremely helpful. You also have the ability to drag and drop these columns and move them to, areas that best suit your needs. And one thing I really like is making reports and making it my own, but I also like making lots of different versions of them too. And so if I select views next to columns, I can save this current view that I have. And so I could toggle in between all the views that I make and all the different reports I make without needing to go through and recreate them again. One feature I do appreciate too is the make public. And so if you want a generic report that's available to everyone to see, that they don't necessarily need to make on their own, like the departments or committees or whatever the case may be, you can make this for them, make it public, and then they can have it available to them at any time. And then with reports, generally, obviously you can extract all the data, but one thing I do like is being able to just extract the current view that you have. And so any of these views that you could toggle through will give you that exportability, so you don't need to recreate or fix all the data in the CSV. If I jump over to forms right now, this is what the back end of those proposal forms or curriculum record forms look like. Quali makes it quite intuitive to configure these based off your needs. I'm going to jump to product real quick. Uh, Everything that you see with this Quali logo is something out of the box that we provided that makes these fields a little bit more easier to use and to navigate. Quali's on that same platform, like Paul mentioned earlier in his introductory slides. And so all this information is shareable and usable throughout the system. And so with these Quali tools here, we can automatically pull in subject codes that we have configured somewhere else or integrated from the student information system. Um, but if any of these out of the box Quali fields don't meet your specific needs, we could come over to general and we can drag and drop any of these fields wherever we need to. You can add your own options on the right-hand side. You can make things required or not required. You can provide description text or help text. Um, and you can even limit this field is displaying depending on what is answered in another field. And I really like that option because let's say as a faculty member, you're going through and you're filling out that full uh, course record form proposal. If there's multiple questions on there that are not relevant to what you're doing, that can be very confusing. And so only showing prerequisite options or cross-listing options as necessary is absolutely invaluable. And then at the bottom here on the left-hand side, if we scroll down to advanced, this allows us to use some data lookup options. And so we could pull in data from the student information system, from other places in Quali, and this allows us to make this form as less free text or manual as we can, providing those options that the faculty needs or needs to have available to them. And I think that really reduces the back and forth complexity of what curriculum processes used to be like. And so if we select curriculum data, for example, we could select we want to pull the courses that we have in our curriculum or the programs. And it's just, again, a really helpful feature that I really enjoy. And then again, just like with our catalog, we have a preview option. We could come through and test each of these fields, make sure that they're pulling in the right information, that the sections are appearing appropriately. And if we need to make any adjustments, we can easily go back. And this is great, again, because you want to make sure that these things are done right and that you've tested them out before that publication takes place. I want to jump over to workflows real quick and show you how this works. This is the workflow that I had for today's discussion. Very simple. It all just went to me as the registrar. Um, but as your institution grows and your needs grow, you might need to make these adjustments. Now, quality is always here to help, but we also empower you to do these things on your own. And so if we need to add a step, an approval step, we can drag and drop those features here. We can route it based off a form on the field. So if we want to say this is a new course proposal or this is um, a course that's being sunsetted, we can pull that information here. We can also specify what group or role this will be going to, depending on what field's answer is given. If we come down to the bottom here, we have advanced groups responses. And so this is really helpful for those committees or subcommittees. If you have, let's say, 10 users in a committee or subcommittee group, you could say 100% of them must respond with 100% approval, or you could say at least 100% of them need to respond with at least 50% approval. And those configuration options are available and entirely up to you. You can also customize email notifications. So as a faculty member, when I submitted that approval, I got an email directly in my personal inbox saying this has been approved, and it provided me with the course information, the subject, etc., and a little bit more information. Again, saving you that from emailing these things out or notifying people manually. Quality is really intentional about making sure that things are done in a smooth, cohesive process. And additionally, we can hide fields from certain workflow steps or users. And so if we don't want this subcommittee to see certain sections of the proposal, we can hide those. We can also make these fields editable. So if there's certain things as a faculty member that you've submitted in your proposal that don't necessarily apply to you to fill out, you could send it through and then have your department chair or the registrar fill out the rest of the information. And again, those email notifications, and then we can also disable certain steps in the workflow from sending that back or denying. Let me go ahead and remove this here because I want to show you some of our testing options as well. And so again, you're seeing that pattern of Quali's ability to make sure things are right before they're shown. And so at the top here, we have this option to test. And this workflow simulator I find to be extremely helpful because you want to make sure that this runs and goes in the right direction more than probably anything. And so some key things to note, your data will not be changed. So you don't need to go through and delete any of these things that you submit, and no one will be notified. It'll give you a full rundown of what has happened in that process. And if you hit run test, it'll show you the fields that you need to fill out that will impact where this goes in the workflow. So you don't necessarily need to fill out the whole form. You could do this and to make sure that things are happening appropriately. And so I'll go ahead and hop out of that. But uh, what I would love to emphasize today is how simple the curriculum submission process is, um, and how easy and smooth the workflows and notifications are to a university with our quality products. And the ability to configure and empower a university to do these things and set up the forms and the workflows and reporting individually, I find to be extremely valuable as someone who used to work in higher education. But with that, Paul, I'll go ahead and turn it back to you for any questions or comments you'd like to make.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. That was really great. So for a lot of folks who might be coming from either an older system or in a lot of cases, we find still there are institutions that haven't made the leap yet to a digital process. Can you talk a little bit about what the process is like for perhaps starting with nothing and how they go from where they are today to this future state, this sort of utopian vision that you shared with us?
Great question, Paul. So coming from nothing or multiple systems or doing things on your own to this, I think has been something that I have personally been a part of in higher education. And so really it starts with mapping out your processes, knowing where you want to go, and the things that are critical in that, and maybe some wish list items of things that you want to innovate and improve on.
Mm,
And so mapping those things out and working side by side with quality during the implementation process, I think is actually a lot smoother and easier than what people think. Implementations and new systems can seem overwhelming, um, but with Quali, and hopefully I've showed that today, at least a little bit, it's very intuitive, very easy to use. The same features are really available throughout the system. And so that training and usability is really consistent. And so if you know where you want to go, I believe Quali can get you there.
yeah. Yeah. And we get, just so everybody knows, we really get rave reviews on for our customer success team from the experience. A huge part of a solution like this isn't just the tool itself, right? We have always considered our customers to be partners in their journey. They help us evolve as a company, and this, product as it is today is really the result of that type of partnership with our customers, So listening to their feedback, understanding the evolving circumstances that are putting different kinds of pressures on institutions really dictate how we lay things out in our roadmap. And I want to share, by the way, something that we didn't talk about. Every piece of software on the planet has bugs, right? That's just a characteristic of coding and creating software. But at Quali, on principle, one of the things that we decided many years ago is that we would be bug free, right? So our software, we're not gonna settle with bugs. Now, that doesn't mean bugs happen, but we have a no bug policy. And so when something comes up, we will pause our roadmap, address the issue, make sure that it's working properly, and then pick up where we left off. And so, in that way, we're not carrying a lot of technical debt forward and letting these issues pile up over time. The other thing I wanted to mention briefly is one of the characteristics of the Quali platform and all Quali platform solutions, in this case, curriculum and catalog, is very robust integration capabilities by way of APIs. So if you need to connect your system to, curriculum or catalog, we have a mechanism to do that, and we have an in-house expert that will hold your hand and help you with those configurations and making sure the data flows everywhere you need it to go. Because what we're trying to do here is not just address curriculum and catalog, we're trying to solve larger digital transformation challenges that a lot of institutions have. And without proper integration in place, that's one of the things that that's gonna be a sticking point. So making sure the data flows, and that brings me to my final point, Michael. And I'm gonna put you back on the spot here, so bear with me. But at every institution, in my experience, as robust as curriculum and catalog are, they do just about everything that customers need, and we make it really easy. I think everyone saw the user experience is elegant to the degree that we can make our software self-evident so that as you look at the screen, you can just naturally figure out where you need to click and what you need to do. Even with all that, there are processes that are unique to every institution out there. Every university and college has their own unique characteristics, a little bit different. They handle things differently. And as a result, even with the freshest, newest, most robust solutions on the market, there are things that require legacy processes. So, things like PDF documents or paper documents in some cases that require people to move these things around on campus, or endless email threads and back and forth to try and manage those other things that an institution might have. And Lord knows a registrar's office has, and you think about all the touch points with students, an infinite number of forms and approvals and processes that they have to manage. So, Michael, I was going to ask you if you could talk briefly a little bit about the solution that we offer to kind of help institutions complete their digital transformation and replace all those PDF documents and email threads with a digital solution.
I think that's a great point, and I'd be happy to go over that, Paul. So thanks for uh, letting me chime in on this because I think it's one of the most important things that we can offer here at Quali. Having everything on the same platform, having all that shared data available at your hands, is really uh, really well, I don't even know the words to say this. I get so excited about it. But the things that you could do with building custom modules or workflows and forms gives you the ability to really get rid of those paper processes entirely that you have in your registrar's office or financial aid office or admissions office, whatever the case may be, and then bring them onto that shared platform. Share that information, share that data. Again, having that same usability and user interface and experience throughout everything that you work with. Um, I currently have a running list of certain things that I would like to continue to build and customize in here. And these things are called, or this feature is called Quali Build. And some of those things that I've been playing around with are a great appeal. So I've built a form for a student to fill out, and it goes through a workflow, goes to the advisor, department chair, and shows them, the information that the student has provided, pulls in the student information from the student information system, and gives them everything that they need to do to review these things individually, or you can even do it as a committee or a course substitution or a waiver request or an exemption, whatever your terminology may be, these features are extremely helpful. And so I like to think of things from that student to advisor to registrar perspective, but I really don't know of any limitations that Quali Build has that can't be solved in higher education. These forms really change the way that I've thought about how I can go about, the daily life in the registrar's office, and how, again, centralizing things, making things smooth, being a part of those workflows, and taking care of those action items in one centralized location is invaluable.
Yeah. And you didn't get into the specifics of it because we didn't want to turn this into a build webinar, but build is remarkable in that, what you showed with creating the forms and workflows inside, curriculum and catalog is the same process with no code forms and workflows. And what we aspire to do, what we're doing, is enabling non-technical folks in the registrar's office to, in a sense, be masters of their domain and creating their own forms and then workflows that are attached to them that route approvals and data flow where it needs to go. Of course, again, deep integration. So if you need something to go back to your student information system or another ERP or an HRIS system, the data flows seamlessly. The other characteristic of quality platform solutions, whether it be build or curriculum and catalog, and Michael touched on this, is the ability to hide fields. Um, I find that to be really important because there's so much information that goes with something like approving a new course, that journey that takes. And there's different stakeholders along the way. Well, being able to hide areas of a form that aren't relevant to them makes the job a lot smaller, right? So we want our forms to be as small as possible so that it's really just focusing in on the areas that are salient to the people at that particular stage of the journey. So that's one of the things that I find helps as well. But of course, having that bird's eye view also so that you could see where every single submission is at, what stage of the journey that submission is on, how long, that submission has been stuck perhaps at a particular stage, really kind of helps move things along more quickly. And I'll just share in wrapping up here that um, I had a conversation yesterday with one of our favorite customers down over at Vanderbilt, and they've been a long time Kuali curriculum and catalog solution customer, and they've also been using Kuali Build. And one of the things that was shared with me is with the addition of Build, they've effectively gone through a complete digital transformation of the registrar's office. So almost every touch point that student or faculty might have with the registrar's office has now been digitized and automated. And so she was sharing that before they had quality curriculum, a course approval on average might take 35 days for it to go through its complete journey. And she just brought up in our talking, literally live as I was speaking with her, that one just went through in less than a day, the entire process. And that's the kind of efficiency that quality platform solutions bring to your office is we're making your life easier. We are, because you're being asked to do a lot with fewer resources. We understand what's happening in higher education. So our mission is how can we take some stuff off your plate? How can we minimize the amount of oversight and administration that you would have to do with the cavalcade of things that are coming down on you every single day? So that's the dream and that's the promise. I appreciate you, Michael, for sharing a little bit about Build towards the end there. I will just share my screen briefly. I do have one call to action to wrap things up here. Let me go into slideshow mode. All right, so that's a little bit about Quali's curriculum and catalog solutions. I just wanted to touch base on this quickly. When we talked about how great our support was, we really mean it. We have an absolutely incredible team. I think almost everybody that works on our customer success team has roots in higher education or came from, the field that they're supporting. So they really know what they're talking about. And I won't go through all of these responses, but the one I like to call out is if you have an urgent issue and you need to get through and get answers right away, our average response time for those tickets is 2 minutes, right? So we're going to get on the phone with you. We're going to get a Zoom call. We're going to get dialed in and find those answers to your questions immediately. Okay. Of course, we have a deep knowledge base as well. We really want to empower you to make sure that you feel comfortable and know everything you need to know in taking this next step of your journey. And with that, I have one final slide. Oh gosh, questions. Let me double check Q&A. Let me go back to the Q&A feature of our Zubinar. Let's see. I am not seeing any questions right now. If you have a question and we didn't get a chance to address it, I'll connect with Michael and I'll email you the answer to your question. Um, and then finally, later today, we have another webinar. It's webinar season for us, but we'll be featuring our friends down in Texas at the King's University. We have Ashlyn Castenson. She's the registrar down there, and she's going to be talking about her journey from a legacy student information system over to the new Kuali Focal student information system. It's an amazing story. They've had such a great experience. I hope you're able, if you have time, you should jump in. If not, scan that QR code, register anyway, and just like this webinar, I'll send you all a recording as soon as it's finished, and you can check it out. Maybe watch it at 2x speed if you don't have a lot of time. And with that, we will wrap up. I appreciate everyone who jumped into this webinar today. It was a pleasure. Keep an eye on your email. I'll send you a link to the recording and a couple other links if you want to dig in a little bit deeper to learn more about Quali's curriculum and catalog solutions. And with that, we will end. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone who joined us today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you all.
All right, bye now.